You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today, we're going to be talking about empowerment of our children, about motivating them, inspiring them to be the best they can be. And, when we're growing up, and I know that all of us have been children at one time, right? And many of us have our own children now. And growing up is tough, understanding how to deal with situations, how to mitigate situations, how to follow or what to do, and how to understand where we stand. And as a child, what are our values? We begin to learn that as we get older and older. But in the process, a lot of times we listen to other adults, we listen to our parents, we listen to people that we look up to. And I find it interesting because today I'm actually interviewing a new author, a mother of two, a wife, a business owner, and Crystal Bussell is a very inspiring lady that just created a book called The Cherry Larrys versus Poison Berry. And we're going to be talking about that today, as well as the reasons why she wrote the book, the background behind the story, and her care about helping children understand not only who they are, but how to be true to themselves. Crystal, great to have you live on Live Your True Life Perspectives. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing
happy
great.
To be here. I'm excited. It's an honor.
I'm just glad to have you on the show, and I love the book. It's great, and I know that
Thank you.
When did you write the book?
I actually wrote the book last year during COVID. Myself, my day job, I am a postal worker. So when the pandemic shut down, we were working 13, 14 hours. My husband had just got into a car accident, and we were losing family left and right. The kids were away from their friends. They lacked that social communication skills, and they kind of lost interest in reading and writing. And that's something that my husband and I are a big advocate for. So writing the book was kind of my way of giving them encouragement, and trying to make reading a fun thing for them. I want them to get excited about reading.
I think that's powerful, and you've been through a lot. I mean, going through the COVID and everything that happened to your family, immediate and non-immediate family, that must have been stressful and scary. And then being able, though, to use some of that energy to really channel that into something that can really benefit children.
Yes, it was challenging. But, we kind of used that time to bring ourselves closer together. And, that made a big difference. And I knew that my family wasn't the only family going through it, and that was impacted the way that we were. So I kind of wanted to do this, not just for my family, but for other families as well.
I think that you can probably vouch for this, is that, going through that process, many of us were concerned. It's the first of its kind to ever go through something like that. And I think I think most of us felt kind of small, right, walking through that. And so This is your way of trying to empower the children, right?
Yes. A lot of the times as adults, we kind of forget that kids are human beings as well. They have the same emotions and feelings that we have, but they aren't able to process it in the way that an adult can. So, it's kind of different. They can't, they know what they're feeling, but they can't figure out the way to illustrate it to others in a, fashion. So I kind of made the book fun and exciting, and all of the books are geared towards life lessons and things that kids go through, and it has a healthy way to kind of navigate through those situations.
You're right. It's like we kind of take for granted sometimes, realizing that kids, they have the same emotions as us, but it's so hard to process it. And I know growing up, and I'm sure you agree, it was hard because I think a lot of it was anger when we were kids, because we didn't know how to deal with it. And so when something felt overwhelming, we either got angry or shut down, and it was hard to be able to process that. And so I like the fact that your book is I love your quote, children's book that educates, entertains, inspires, and ignite the super within. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about the super within. Tell me what that means to you.
Igniting the super within is sparking the best version of yourself, the bringing forth the imagination, all of the greats throughout history. Everything starts with an idea. An idea is sparked from your imagination. And sometimes kids don't have a place to where they can go to um, be safe and just kind of let loose and be themselves.
I agree with you, Crystal, because I feel like there's not a lot of places and books and that sort of thing where kids can really just kind of let loose. And I think also, having that safe place where the story is a story that's not only entertaining, but there's not any sort of anything besides what's good for the kids in the book. And that's what I thought was interesting, is that your story is very wholesome, I guess is what I'm saying. And that's a good thing, because parents can trust the fact that when their children are reading this book, it's a safe place where it's a safe environment, but it's also teaching them something in a very safe way.
Right. I agree.
So let's talk about how the title came about, because I thought that was quite interesting. The Cherry Larrys versus Poisonberry. Tell me more about how that all came to fruition.
The Cherry Larrys was a nickname given to my children by my husband when they were toddlers. He would always sing songs that would rhyme. It would be Cherry, Larry, Jerry, looking like a berry, and the kids would always laugh. As the kid grew, so did the Cherry Larry phrase. If we were illustrating right from wrong, we would say, we don't want to be bad berries. Or if the children were whining, instead of saying stop whining, we would say, we don't want to be cryberries. Now that the boys are 6 and 9, they really are intrigued by what the Cherry Larry really means. So, I decided to give them the answers that they seek by turning them into cool superheroes with a definition and a purpose.
And I like the superhero concept, because I think all of us can be superheroes. I think all of us are superheroes. We just have to find that within ourselves. And it takes a village to do that, right? Because if parents don't share that with their kids, the kids will never know that that's an option. So the idea behind the book, and I love it, is that the characters in the book actually become superheroes.
Yes. They are faced with a decision. Someone that they look up to, that they admire, near and dear to their lives, makes some bad choices and decisions, and they have they have to decide whether or not they're going to appease and go with what they know is wrong, or stand up and do what's right. And that's a hard thing, especially when you kind of put someone in a idolized frame and mindset. I think that's kind of not just for children but adults as well. We try to appease others to make us happy, when it's like we know certain things that we're supposed to do, and with them being children, there are certain things that you can do to better a situation, but then sometimes you have to go to another source. If I can't do it, I know someone who can.
And I like the piece in the in the story about when we look up to someone, especially when we're children and young adults, when we look up to someone, and being able to see the difference between right and wrong. And that's what I really like about the story, is there's that depth there where it's like, okay, these particular characters have been looking up to this person, and the person they're looking up to is making a poor choice. And how do you go against that, or how do you stand up for your values? And I think essentially that's what you're saying. And so very early in the story, your main characters have to stand up for what they believe in, no matter what.
Yes. And that's a hard decision, and it takes a lot of courage to do it. And, that's something that you have to look deep inside yourself. And, that's why one of the things I like to say is a superhero doesn't necessarily have to have a costume or a cape. It's what's inside of you that makes you the superhero. So that's where I came up with the, ignite the super within.
I like that. It's not about the outside. It's not about the way that someone dresses. It's about what's inside of you and your heart, your
Yes,
mind, and your soul, and how you act and what you do.
absolutely.
I love the concept of also throughout the book. Our superheroes have a normal life as well. Like they're allowed to experience kind of what would you say? I don't know if it's insecurity or nervousness when a girl comes around. I thought that was pretty cute, actually.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true because at a young age, that's something that does happen for sure. And then I like how they are able to also, help their other fellow students in their class.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely agree. The the kids, the situations that you see in the book are the situations that, kids go through every day. It's an everyday thing. You have a crush on someone, you don't really know how to act around them. That can, be a challenge within itself, especially, growing and maturing, going through puberty, all of those stages and phases. And then you have um, them, the two characters, the main characters, they make the choice once they've stood up for what they believe in to now help others in their town, and protect their town from wrongdoings of others. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's awesome. And it also shows that it doesn't matter how old you are, or how small or tall or whatever you are, you still have
Right.
power to make change.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree.
I like how this is inspirational because I think that, and I know that since you have two children, you saw it firsthand. When your kids had to stay home from school, what was that impact on them? Was it? I mean, did you see them saddened because they weren't with their fellow students? I mean, how was their emotional impact from that?
Their emotions were all over the place. They were sad, distraught, because we were dealing with a lot of other things, not being able to see their friends, family, and a lot of people passing, not being able to say goodbye. That's a big impact on anyone.
You're so right, Crystal. When we return, we're going to be talking more about that because I believe that this situation impacted many of us, and Crystal's voicing what a lot of us have gone through, what a lot of our children have gone through, what a lot of our family have gone through, especially if you've lost a family member to COVID. You understand exactly what we're talking about here. So stay tuned because Crystal's going to be here the whole hour. We're going to be talking about the Cherry Larrys versus Poison Berry. She also has another book coming out, too, as well. And we're going to be talking about kind of the background about where the ideas came from, the concepts, and kind of where we're going with all this stuff to really empower and make changes within our world. Stay tuned. Live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Berges, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today's show, Crystal has joined me. Crystal is the author of the Cherry Larrys versus Poison Berry. She has another book coming out too, but right before the break, we were talking about the impact of how COVID not only impacted her, but also impacted her 2 children. Crystal, when we were talking about that earlier, what were the emotions that you were seeing your children go through when they were unable to go to school and hang out with their fellow students?
I saw them go from sadness to grief to anger, you know, just completely distraught because there was a lot of things going on at all at the same time. It was, losing family, friends, not being able to say goodbye to anyone. and then, not being able to know when you would be able to see, your loved ones or your friends again. And so, my husband and I, we kind of sat down and talked with them, um, to kind of, help them through their emotions, because it was a tough time for all of us. And that was, the one thing that brought us together. And I figured, this is the perfect time to kind of give everyone, make this book not just a standalone, but a series, so that others families can enjoy it and, have the same togethership that we had.
I think it's amazing because it's so timely. And that's what I think really was interesting is that it did give us a chance if we used that time in our life properly. It did give us a chance to not only connect with our family, but maybe connect in an amazing way, maybe for the first time even. Do you feel like you and your family got a lot closer throughout that time?
Yes, I do feel like my family got a lot closer. You could know someone their whole lives, and until something like this happens, you don't really get to know them on a deeper level like you did, previously. So we kind of, know what makes us tick, what doesn't, and we can, tell when someone's having a bad day, how to fix it, those type of things. But it overall has made our relationship better.
So more on more solid ground, and I think that's amazing because I have heard that from many parents. I've heard that from a lot of the listeners here on Live Your True Life Perspectives, where in the beginning it was like a little bit of fear, kind of worried about what was going to happen, but then all of a sudden, out of that fear and worry came new ways of connecting, and really working toward it maybe more than ever.
Yes.
So let me ask you, how important do you think imagination is for anybody?
I think imagination is important for everyone. You know, um, Oprah once said the biggest adventure that you can take is to live your life and your dreams, Um, and to do that, a dream is just, another part of your imagination. So, without an imagination, we wouldn't have an Albert Einstein, a Stephen Hawkins, an Elon Musk. So imagination, I feel, is a vital key, especially for young children.
I totally agree with you, Crystal. When we return, Crystal and I are going to be continuing to talk about her book, where the concepts came from, some of the challenges that Crystal faced while creating these books, and how she's spreading the word as well. And also, some ways that parents can connect with their children better on a more personal level, where we understand where they're coming from, and it even makes it easier for them to express themselves, and for us to also understand where they're coming from. So stay tuned. Don't change the channel because we got a lot going on here. So stay tuned. We have a lot more to talk about. Also, where you can find the book, how you can connect with Crystal, and a lot more, and some nuggets of wisdom. Live Your True Life Perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Berges, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today's show, we've been talking about imagination, about really connecting with your children, about giving them the tools to feel powerful. Many of us have gone through extreme changes during the COVID situation, being at home, and many of our kids in homeschool, having to learn from home through a computer, not able to spend time with their friends and family. And it's very interesting how we are able to really connect right now, and how we've been able to connect as far as being able to understand each other and develop an even more relationship with them if we took the time and really made that happen. I know that there was a lot of fear in the beginning of the situation, but I think that a lot of you out there, a lot of the Live Your True Life listeners, really worked on that and said, okay, I know that I'm in fear, and I know that we're going through a lot of changes, but what can I do to really bring my family together? What can I do to empower my children? And so Crystal's here. Crystal is the author of the Cherry Larry's versus Poison Berry, and she wrote this book in March of 2020, the beginning of COVID, and she wanted to do that to educate, to entertain, to inspire, and to ignite the super within. Crystal, great to have you back on the show. And right before the break, we had been talking about the power of imagination. And how imagination can really make so many changes in our life. And I love that quote that you offered from Oprah. Do you feel that inspiring children to imagine really gives them the tools to maybe make their life even better, or be able to create the things that they want to create?
Absolutely. I believe that there is no dream, no thought that comes within yourself that you can't outwardly manifest and go after. It was given to you for a reason, and that is your reason, your purpose. That is you contributing and being a service to the community and to the world. And it starts with your imagination.
So the concept is that if you can imagine it, you can actually create it.
Yes, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, that cheesy saying. But it's true though, think about what if Elon Musk said it was too hard.
Mm-hmm.
If Stephen Hawking, despite, his abilities, said it was too hard.
That's true. And I agree with you because, and I know, that you're like that cheesy saying, but yeah, you're right. It really is true, because if we can, and I feel that a lot of times in our society, I feel like a lot of the entertainment, and I'm not saying across the board, but I'm saying some of the entertainment is a little bit pedestrian. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't open our mind. It actually closes our mind.
Right.
Right. And so it's like when you give children content that opens their mind to opportunity, that's something that can spark that imagination that can lead to these world changers and doing the right thing and creating things that really do better our society and better humankind.
Yes. And children are our future, so it is up to us to instill in them while they're young the keys to a fundamental success in life.
Very true. Very true. Let me ask you, what were some of the challenges that you faced? Because I know, being a new author and going through the timing that you did, through COVID, what were some of the challenges that you faced while you were creating this book?
Some of the challenges that I faced were, getting it printed, editor. It was the entire process. I thought, hey, well, this is something, I went in it naively, and I was, hey, I got this great book. I think, I want to impact world with it. I think if I just write a book, and just publish it, that it would just be easy peasy. It was not at all. There were so many steps, and I had to learn everything from scratch. It took a lot of time away from my children, and it had me, in a sense, feeling as if I was kind of putting them on the back burner. So, for a slight moment, it was a hard adjustment to kind of balance my work life / publishing. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, you had your job, and then you're overworked at that job, dealing with the COVID thing, having the children at home, learning, via technology. Your husband had been in an accident, and on top of that, y'all had been dealing with the deaths of some of your family members, and you're writing a book and learning the process of publishing and writing.
Yes.
Did you want to take on anything more on top of that, or?
No, I think I had quite enough. I got through it through the skin of my teeth. It was all love and support.
I love it. I love it. But that's a lot. And see, that's the challenge that a lot of folks have and that's what you have to push forward. And I understand. I've been a writer. I've written 2 books, and I have 2 more that I'm writing. And gosh, these last 2 are like labors. But you're right. It's overwhelming because it's just one more huge thing.
Right.
But you have to do because it's like your whole entire body, your being's like, I have to do this as far as purpose is concerned. When you think about purpose too, when it first flashed into your brain about doing this, did this really connect with a higher purpose for you immediately?
It did. When I wrote it, because I wrote the first 2 books within 10-20 minutes together.
Wow.
And yeah, and it came so naturally to me. And I had this thought like I could be, because when I was growing up, I looked up to Mr. Rogers, LeVar Burton. I looked up to those type of people. And I've had this feeling that I could be that for this new voice, kind of stray them away from the technology, because if we can give them the same thing that they're getting in technology in a book, that will now expand their mind.
When I was growing up too, Mr. Rogers, all those things. I remember like Sesame Street and all that stuff that inspired me as well. And it was a safe place to go where there was learning. And I just can't believe that you wrote this one book in 20 minutes. I mean, that's insane. Did it just come right out on paper and you were like, bam, this is it? This is it.
Yeah. I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go with it, and then just kind of just let my mind flow.
How did you come up with the idea for the illustrations? Where did those come from your mind's eye, or where did that concept come from?
No, my family, we kind of promote healthy living. My husband used to be a personal trainer before he went to the service. So, ever since my children, were small, that's all we did, the smoothies, the protein shakes, the meal prepping, those things. And, people being at home, just kind of eating a lot of fast food, we kind of wanted to make eating healthy, fruits and vegetables, a cool thing. There was the Veggie Tales, when I was growing up,
Hmm.
and they were like cute and stuff, but we wanted to make it cool um and funny. So I had a lot of puns in the book. So like one of the bad guys' name is Dr. Winslow Wretched, but it's spelled different. There's a rotten tomato. His name is Mr. Hines, like the ketchup, but it's obviously, spelled different. Just some fun ways to kind of, keep the kids cool and encouraged.
I like that, and I like the idea of healthy living too. I think that's so important because nowadays with the fast food, and it's interesting how a lot of people think that, oh, well, I can't eat well or I can't eat what's good for me, and it's amazing how. What I found is that when you go into the store, actually the stuff that's the best for you, the food that's just high quality, that's just vegetables and things like that, it's the cheapest thing you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild because everybody's looking, they're like, I was like, well, no, steak is not healthy. People they misconstrue good or certain quality food or what it is with healthy. And it's like, actually, the healthiest food is actually the cheapest food. And it's interesting how it's not marketed that way. And so it's always been important, right, for your family to be healthy and fit. And I like how that kind of comes through in the storyline.
Yes, yes, we've always tried to, promote health, because the saying, health is wealth. So, being healthy externally and internally.
I agree with you on that. What are some of the ways that you are spreading this message? I'm interested in that. Is it a grassroots effort, or what are you doing to be able to spread this message that you're offering the children and empowerment?
Well, one of the ways that I'm spreading the message is I created a publishing company, and I, you know, look for like-minded individuals with the same goals and purpose as far as the book goes, and publish them for them. I do a lot of community events. I give back a lot. Actually, next week I have another fundraising event for this nonprofit that my friend has, and I'm going to do that. So it's just kind of me being out there. I'm more of a hands-on person, but I do have some, interviews. This lovely radio station, interview with you. I have a television, several television events coming up. So, just any way that I can.
That's great. It's getting the word out, getting it on all types of, radio, TV, all that's powerful. And it is all about inspiration and inspiring. And I feel that when you have a message like this, it has to get out. When are you releasing? I know that you were saying something about your next book. When does that come out?
Well, the Cherry Larry's book 2, A New Evil Rises. I'm going to actually do a Kickstarter for it, so that they'll be able to pre-order the book before it's available to the public. And with this being a superhero series, I thought in the Kickstarter, why not honor everyday heroes? So you guys will be able to back and pledge a name in the book. As far as the Heroes Hall of Fame, you can get a character drawn, all sorts of good things that not only would be good for kids, but just the family in a whole.
That's cool. I like that. That's interesting. So actually, it's kind of a grassroots effort as far as, and also you can actually have a character or something named after you, or a look of a character that's kind of neat. That gives people the opportunity to feel a part of the second book.
Yes.
That's neat. Yeah, I because I feel that, these types of books do inspire, and I feel like, it really does share the fact that, no one is too small to do big things. And I know that
Absolutely.
Reading is so important to you. And you said that reading is a fundamental way to success.
Yes.
And do you feel that reading not only inspires, but what do you think reading does for a child?
Reading, well, it's proven that reading, the more you read, the more you expand your vocabulary. The more you expand your vocabulary, the more you expand your mind. The more you expand your mind, you're now open to situations. The more you're able to handle difficult situations and easy situations. Reading proves it's been proven that, the more you read, the more success you'll have later on in life. So that's why, I'm so adamant about it as a child. We want to set them up for success.
I agree with you. So we're going to be talking a lot more. So don't change the channel. We got more with Crystal, because it's all about success and creating the success and allowing the children to feel success and be in an environment where they feel success. I feel that this interview is so important, because I think that right now, more than ever, we are trying to create an environment that inspires. I think that we've seen so many changes, and the changes that we went through, we didn't know that we were going to partake in. And life has really shifted. And I think many of you listening to the show right now, your life has shifted in massive ways. And sometimes we don't see it because we're in it. We're living in it day to day. However, if we were to step back and look at it, almost like we were looking into a movie, we would see how our day-to-day life has changed, how our emotions have shifted, how the depth of our experience has shaped us. We would also look and see how life is not the same. Things have changed. And how that has impacted our life on a daily basis, how that impacts our thoughts on a daily basis, and how it impacts our purpose and direction. Because I think many of us have a fire under our butt right now to create some amazing things, because we realize that we have that time. We're here right now. we're healthy and able, and so we might as well take the time to create that. So when we return, we'll be talking about golden nuggets of thoughts that Crystal has that she wants to share with our listeners, also where to find the book and how to connect on social media. So stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Berges. Well, I'm going to be back this time. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today's show, we've been talking with Crystal. Crystal has the book, The Cherry Larries versus Poison Berries. She's also the author of another book that they're going to be raising some awareness on Kickstarter as well. Crystal, let me ask you, I'm very interested because everything that you've been through and the inspiration and the purpose that you have, what are some golden nuggets of wisdom that you would like to share with the Live Your True Life listeners?
That's a great question, Ashley. Some golden nuggets that I would like to share would be never stop learning and growing as a person, to always strive to be the best version of yourself.
I love that. And it's about striving to be better than you were yesterday, not about competition with other people, but just yourself.
Right. Yes.
What are some ways that you think that parents can better connect with their children on a personal level?
Well, when we have a child, they're not born with an encyclopedia or a handbook, like you would get furniture. So, and there's no one size fit all for parenting, but what we can do is to, have daily check-ins. We can, if we don't have the answers, or if we feel as if it's certain aspects that our kids may be going through that we can't relate, or it's kind of awkward to talk about, use a book to bridge that gap between, your child and yourself.
I love that because it is all about connecting at a deeper level and really connecting that way. I think it's so inspiring and so powerful. Where can we find you and the Cherry Larries on social media, Crystal?
You can find me and the Cherry Larries at Instagram.com/CherryLarryAdventures, Facebook.com/CherryLarryAdventures.
And where's your website, and where could we order the book as well?
My website is buspubpresents.com, and you can order on my website t-shirts, masks, learner resources, coloring books. You'll actually, when you go to the site, I'll have a link to where you can get connected with book number 2 pre-orders on Kickstarter, so that you'll not only have the first edition, but the second as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, this has been a great show. For all you listening right now, it's about inspiration, right? It's about empowering. It's about connecting with your children and your family, and how powerful that is. And you're right. I love that, Crystal. You said, there is no, information book. There is no how you do this book when you're raising a child. And it does. I mean, it's about learning, and it's about growing together. And I'm very inspired by having you on the radio show. I'm so glad that you were able to come on today.
Thank you, Ashley. It was a pleasure to be here. I had a great time.
I love your book, Crystal. You'll have to come back on for sure.
Absolutely. Anytime for you, Ashley.
You're awesome. You're awesome. If y'all been listening to the interview, you understand that Crystal is really, she's inspiring. She's creating this drive, this inspiration to ignite the super within. And I think all of us can really benefit from that because we all have a superpower. We all have something within us that's more powerful than we even know. And we have to be able to feel that and ignite with that. And we have to be taught and trained that when we're children because we don't know that. And as adults, many of us were not taught that either because our parents didn't know that as well. They didn't know that they also had a superhero within because they didn't know that they had one because their parents didn't know they had one. So let's create this positive, powerful cycle where we end the cycle where we don't feel like we're valuable or powerful and we begin to see that power within. It doesn't matter about a cape, like Crystal says. It doesn't matter what you wear. It's about what's within you. And that's where we need to go. That's where we need to be at. And that's how we understand who we are. We inspire those around us, and we're able to really connect and understand. And I think that's what we wanted to share today. You can check out and visit with Crystal, checking out her social media on Facebook, Cherry Larry Adventures, on Instagram, Cherry Larry Adventures, and you can also find her on her website, busspubpresents.com. So I am so happy that you're able to tune in today. We have a new show for you next week. Don't miss it. Always live here. And in the meantime, it's about you being inspired. It's about you seeing your value. It's about instilling the value within your children and your family, coming closer together no matter how we feel, but becoming more vulnerable in a very positive way. That's what it's all about. I hope that you've enjoyed the show. If you need any more information or want to find old shows, past shows, podcasts, go to ashleyberges.com. Stay tuned. Live your true life perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Berges, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 3 shakes.